About 2 a.m. is probably going to be about the peak if it continues at this forward speed. And probably gusts of about 115. The storm did track a little east after, before it made landfall. And so we're not sure exactly where it's going to go. We're going to do another weather call at 7 o'clock with the National Weather Service. We'll have a lot more information about that and what people can expect. But they did give us some timing, and that's about what they gave us last.
All right, you're listening in there to the Sarasota County Emergency Operations Center there with their 5:30 update for you tonight. We want to go now to the Northeast, and Polk County emergency responders are in full force and expect a massive amount of calls once the storm starts to get worse.
Yeah, Brenda Lise Gonzalez is live at the Polk County EOC with an inside look at the communication center there. And the one thing they ask people to consider while waiting for the storm. Brenda Lise, tell us.
Wendy and Jameson, well, first of all, now's the time we're actually starting to hear those wind gusts, right? You can hear the wind picking up. Take a look here. You can see the trees moving around. Now, this has been about the worst of it. For the meantime, it's actually been pretty calm, not anything new to what we've seen here before. But this is the time where it's just going to get worse from here on out. Now, over on just the other side of us, we've got a room full of dispatchers taking calls. They've been taking calls since last night from people who need help getting to shelters. Also, people in shelters who may need help. No major emergencies, though, we're told so far. Now, a few disturbance calls, but nothing compared to how it normally is. They expect, though, to get a ton of calls about flooding and power outages as this storm continues to progress.
We get a lot of serious calls, upsetting calls that upset us too, but we know that we're there to help, and it just is a good feeling inside to, help them out.
As you see the wind just getting stronger, there's going to be a point where it's going to be dangerous for even ambulances to go help people. Now, sheriff's deputies are on standby. They're willing to help, even use SWAT trucks, anything to get people. But there might be a point where they're not going to be able to. It's going to be too dangerous. Now, the city of Lake Wales just now setting their own curfew for 7 p.m. for pedestrians. And right now, we're about to get an update here at 6 p.m. at the Emergency Operations Center. We're going to bring all of the latest information for you coming here in Polk County. Reporting live, Brenda Lise Gonzalez, ABC Action News.
Brenda Lise, thank you, and much the same as we head back down south again. The winds are picking up for people in Manatee County.
Yeah, let's get out to ABC Action News reporter Lauren St. Germain, who is in Bradenton right now. Lauren, how are the conditions out where you are?
Guys, right now we are in Bradenton, which is part of Manatee County. Where we are is the Cortez Plaza. So we're behind big buildings like LA Fitness, Chuck E. Cheese. I kind of want to show you our situation right now. We are in the back of a plaza. So our live truck, you see, we have 3 walls surrounding it, which helps block the wind so we can give you the live shots. I even want to point out, if I back up a little bit, the wind is much more intense. You can even see it with my jacket, where if I just step a little bit closer, you see it's much less intense, except when we get a little bit of those gusts right there. But I do want to show you, look back this way. This is kind of what we're seeing right now in Manatee County. Trees just going all over the place. And then if you look down at the rain that's coming down, it's not just staying on the ground, it's kind of spinning around, if you can see that. And also the trash cans, the roofs are flying everywhere. And those are pretty heavy lids. So, obviously the wind is pretty strong out here right now. Guys, we'll be out here all night, and we will come out and do these live shots when we feel safe. We will not put our lives in jeopardy right now. But winds are definitely picking up out here in Manatee County, and we're getting those gusts. It's not sustained winds. We'll just get those quick little gusts of really stronger forced winds. So we'll be out here monitoring the conditions, keeping you guys updated. For now, I'm Lauren St. Germain. Back to you.
All right, Lauren, thank you. This is another Facebook Live from one of our many viewers from Inglewood who put it on their Facebook page of obviously some trees and wind gusts picking up in that area as well.
Yeah, a lot of palm trees there blowing in the wind, as you see down there in a lot of the Facebook Lives, and these trees here too, just kind of getting whipped around. And these winds are going to be heading our way just in the next few hours or so. Hopefully not that strong.
There you go. That's how he's riding out the storm. There you go.
A little product endorsement there.
All right, I think we now want to go to Sunny Isles. Okay, here's Sunny Isles. Many palm trees there. No match for Irma's wind. You can see them, or there's a video just into the newsroom. Palm trees down in Sunny Isles Beach. I used to live in that area. I know it well. The branches also scattered all over the ground. It's a beautiful area. It looks like they too are getting hit by Irma.
To Naples now, where Irma is hitting as well. Strong winds, heavy rains there. You can see the palm trees, of course, blowing in the wind.
This is near Ground Zero. This is where close to Marco Island, where the eye of the storm hit about 3:30 this afternoon.
Yeah, it's going through there right now as we speak, and certainly the conditions there are deteriorating quickly. Take a look at this video coming in from the Charlotte Harbor. It is dry, and you can see back actually the boats on dry land. We were seeing that here as well.
With the water receding so far back, it's just so unusual to see it. I know on Bayshore Boulevard, I've never seen it like that, and here we have it here too. And Dennis tells us that when the storm passes through, the water will eventually come back, and then you'll get that storm surge. It will not be like a tsunami that people are trying to spread through Facebook, but it will come back, and that's when the storm surge will happen. In some areas, up to 5 to 8 feet. I want you to take a look at these strong winds in Florida City as well. Gosh, it looks like it should be 10 o'clock at night, right? Instead of early afternoon, or early evening, I should say.
And keep this in mind, though, when you're seeing these pictures here. These folks had somewhat of the benefit of this happening during the daytime. You look out and you see this during the daytime. You see the trees kind of whipping around. Doesn't mean it's any easier to be sitting through those types of storms. But when those winds come our way tonight, hopefully not that strong, but when those winds come our way tonight, it's going to be in the dark. It's going to be from what they're saying about 10 a.m.
Right. Well, no, about 2 a.m. 2 to 3 a.m. is what Dennis was predicting about the worst of it coming into our viewing area in the Bay Area and several of the counties. Especially, he talked about Hillsborough and Polk County being sort of the middle of the storm.
It's tough because it's going to be in the dark.
Yeah.
It's going to be in the dark. You're going to look out your window. You're not going to really see much.
And you're going to hear the winds and not be able to see anything, which is just so scary, too.
Yeah, and your house is going to start making noises you've never heard it make before, and it's going to perhaps even move a little bit, but it's going to scare you a little bit. A lot of folks not going to have a good night's sleep.
Right, and I want to just remind you, because most everyone is going to lose power. They've been talking about that. So charge your phones now, because at least then you can have communication with your friends and family, and you can also keep us streaming. We'll be here all night long until the storm completely gets out of our area. So please charge your phones now so that you are ready to go when the electricity goes out, and you can text your friends and family, and also keep us on the whole time.
Yeah, the power goes out, but you still have some type of Wi-Fi on your phone if that's still available. And you can watch us on our ABC Action News app. You can watch us live on our ABC Action News app.
We're also on Roku. We're on, although Apple TV, you would still need power, some kind of connection, right? And we're also simulcasting on all the radio stations. We'll bring that up in just a minute, too. Yeah. Want to talk about some of the shelters?
Yeah, some of the area shelters are pet friendly, and so how are emergency coordinators organizing the needs for people sheltering there?
Okay, so ABC Action News reporter Carson Chambers is in Clearwater with more on that. Take a look.
Well, hey guys, we are at Clearwater Fundamental Middle School, which is a shelter here in Pinellas County. We're actually outside because they are allowing folks to walk their dogs. This little guy, he's so nervous. This is Blackjack and this is Patches, right? And you are?
John.
Okay, John, how are you doing? And tell me what you're doing right now.
We're doing pretty good. We're kind of nervous. We're only 10 minutes away from the ocean, so we're kind of nervous what we're going to see when we go back home. Kids are kind of nervous. It's the first time they've ever been through this, so we're holding in there the best we can. It's getting pretty crowded in here, though.
And you can tell all the animals are kind of...
The animals know something's coming up. They're really, really getting crazy. They usually jump right to me when I come down, and today they're just huddled together in the corner. They really know something's coming.
The good news is you can walk them, put them back, and everybody's safe.
Yeah. That's the main thing. We're safe here. Out there, you don't know what you're going to get. We really still don't know what's coming. So, from what I've been watching on the news, it's going to hit us sometime late tonight, early tomorrow morning. So, the worst is yet to come.
Okay. Thank you for your time. We wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
We wish your dogs the best. We're going to send it back to you guys.
Thank you, Carson.
All right, out of something bad like Hurricane Irma comes something good.
That's right. Anchor Laura Harris is here now with new video coming into our newsroom. Laura, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to show you that in just a moment because it's just incredible video. But first, let's take a look at this. Some breaking news for you out of downtown Miami. A crane boom at a condo building under construction collapsing. You can see that yellow piece right there. It'll come back. But just about 90 minutes ago, due to the hurricane, Yeah, you see that. The collapse sent bricks toppling to the ground. City officials are urging people living nearby to seek shelter because the boom is hanging off the building side. Once again, there's nothing they can do about it right now because the storm is happening. So they have to wait till the storm is over with for them to actually come and fix some of that. And, you know, we have a lot of construction areas here in Florida. I mean, that was one of the things that we were really concerned about in some of our morning meetings when we knew the storm was coming. Oh, my goodness, a lot of channel side, a lot of different.
Pete as well.
St.
Yeah,
Pete
as well,
has those. So just make sure that we're all being safe out there. This was the part that's going to make you smile, though. We were talking about Florida Strong yesterday and how nice people have been. Well, Jameis Winston posted this to his Twitter feed earlier. The Bucs retweeted it, just kind of talking about how they were supposed to play a game today in Miami, but couldn't, of course, because of the storm. So he wanted his fans to know this.
I just want to send out prayers to everyone who's been affected by these storms over the past few weeks, and I want to continue to pray for the people who are still in the path of these storms. I just want to pray for your health and your safety.
As you know, he former Florida State quarterback there, so of course he has some ties to the area. And then I want you to see this. Do you remember the story of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? His name's Bernard Reedy. And he came here, you know, he had been out of the league for a while, got cut from the Atlanta Falcons, came back to his hometown, St. Pete, and started working for Care Ride. $11 an hour is what he was making, not for the money, but just because he wanted to help people. Well, he made the 53-man roster, and instead of evacuating, he decided he would stay in St. Pete and help people who were wheelchair-bound evacuate. I just thought that was just incredible. Just
that is cool.
Really incredible.
Yeah, good guy right there.
Yeah, for sure. Got some new video to show you, though, also from Charlotte Harbor. Waters that have been receding. We've been seeing a lot of this all day. This is around that area where Hurricane Charlie hit in 2004, so a lot of people sharing those videos for us there. I think we've got one more video to show you. This one's out of North Fort Lauderdale here. There it is. Now, I wanted our meteorologist to watch this video. This is incredible to me, this video. But Shay, we had a question. You know how there's a lot of stuff on the internet that's not real.
Yeah, this almost doesn't look real.
It doesn't look real, but I did want to put it out there because North Fort Lauderdale is what this guy is saying. Tell me, what do you think?
It is real, but it's not from Fort Lauderdale.
Where is it from?
That was from months ago. I believe somewhere, Texas, Oklahoma. It was some desert.
All right,
so meteorologist Jason Adams is saying this is not real.
Well, no, it's real. It's not even from Fort Lauderdale. It's saying it's from Texas, Lauderdale. And it's from a few months ago.
So the point here is I wanted to show you cannot believe everything you see about the storm on the internet, guys, especially some of these rumors that we were hearing yesterday, Wendy, when people were saying they're going to cut off the power grid.
Right, and then today with the tsunami on Bayshore Boulevard, it's not true.
Cannot believe everything you
know,
see.
We're stressed enough because of just the fact that there is a hurricane in our area. We don't need false information being spread.
Exactly. Yes. So that one that's going around the internet, not real.
The video's pretty cool.
The video, no, to correct, the video is real. It's just not from
Fort
Lauderdale.
Here. There you go.
And it was from Texas like months ago. All right, let's go to Chief Meteorologist for an update on Hurricane Irma. Den?
Yeah, Wendy, we're still looking at, we've got a couple of things that we're going to have to deal with kind of one at a time. So the next bigger threat that I think we're going to start seeing would be tornadoes. We've been in a tornado watch for a while. There are tornado warnings over on the east side, and all of these are rotating back toward our area. The same reason all that water got pushed out of the bay. When you have a flow that moves in from the east and pushes out to the west, it takes all the water along with it. But taking all of the water along with it has been pretty rare. I mean, I've done a little research over the last hour. It has happened on numerous times in the past, but I don't ever remember, at least in my time here at the Bay Area, seeing times where it was literally the bay, the water had been pushed out. But that's how strong this hurricane is. Now, if you've been watching throughout the afternoon, we kind of noticed some changes, and all of which were for the better. Now, first of all, for the last few days, there's always been in the back of your mind, gosh, what if this goes to a 4? What if this goes to a 5? I mean, when you go to a 4 or a 5, it's another animal entirely. It's catastrophic. It's devastating. It's those kind of situations that you look at a more widespread scale, as opposed to maybe a 2 will be catastrophic to anybody who has a tree that's on their house or has some structural damage or has an issue with their mobile home. But we're talking about a widespread scale. So I think we're now looking that 5 can be off the table. 4 is off the table. And I think 3 is off the table because what was a very powerful hurricane, winds of 142-mile-an-hour gusts in Naples, and we're still getting some serious reports around areas, but I'm telling you, as it continues to now move inland, it's going to weaken. There's just no way around it. We've got some pictures from Naples right now, and like we said, at least at this point, now it has passed through, and now this is aftermath. So here are some of the first pictures right now of some damage. Now, we don't know if this is actually the part of Naples that took the brunt of the storm. My gut tells me no, because that doesn't look very damaging with 142-mile-an-hour winds reported. I mean, you look at that, and you think, okay, maybe they got 90. But that's just me looking at the damage. That's certainly not my expertise. Now, water, that is something that I want to talk about. Because in Naples, they've actually had the water, which got pushed out just like ours did, and that went 4 feet up in 30 minutes. So look, in fact, this guy's slowing down as they should. I mean, there's definitely some stuff in the road, and you're going to have some trees down. But I'm getting a little more concerned about just that water push for the Bay Area that's going to happen overnight. Now, I think it's safe to say most folks who live along the water who would have been impacted or will be impacted by surge probably have evacuated. I mean, there have been mandatory evacuations, so obviously most of those folks are gone. Now, looking from the Skyway, things are starting to really get going. That band that I talked about is really starting to pick up. So from right now until about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, we are going to be looking at this. So it's going to be about a 12-hour stretch that things are going to get nasty. Now, a lot of folks have been concentrating on where the eye is going to go, and myself one of them in terms of a smaller area. But I want to remind you something. The overwhelming majority of weather, bad weather, wind, that's associated with this storm is going to be out ahead of it. Because as it continues to move north, it's going to weaken. So the back isn't going to be nearly as impressive as what's out ahead. So that means all these reds and all these oranges and all these yellows that are coming through right now, they are quickly going to surprise some folks because they say, well, I've got till midnight, I've got till 1. No, you really don't now. I mean, we're already getting reports of hurricane-force wind gusts in Highlands County. We've had sustained tropical storm force winds in Pinellas County around St. Pete. Shay, can you put that on now? Because I want to show you exactly what we're looking at right this second. Okay, this is now. Now, with the motion of everything from the east to the west, I suspect we're going to start seeing these winds really start to pick up quite a bit. Did we just lock up? Oh, okay. There we go. All right, so there is the red and the orange. I mean, this is winds probably about 40 to 60 miles an hour and maybe up to about 75 in some of the areas. Because, in fact, let's go ahead and move up. If you can move up the radar up to where there's your eye, okay? It's already moved inland. It's not going to go back. In fact, it's moving north at a little bit faster. So the faster this rolls through the area, that's just more of an indication that that trough is really pushing it along. When its forward speed increases, it means it's far less likely to turn or wobble or jog. It's like a snowball going downhill. It's kind of hard to alter its course once it's really going. Well, except this is kind of a snowball going uphill. So what we're saying right now, Hardy, DeSoto, Highlands, you are right now getting some serious wind. In fact, I think a lot of folks are probably going to be losing power in these areas. And I think that's a decent idea if we can start getting some updated power outage totals, because I think we're going to start seeing this pretty quickly from Sarasota, Manatee, Hardy, DeSoto, Highlands. And this is what we were talking about yesterday. They're getting it first. And to be honest, I think they're going to be getting it strongest, because as this continues to move north, it's going to weaken as it does so. So the first phase is rotation, tornado warnings, usually small tornadoes. They usually don't last very long, but they still can easily have winds of 85, 90 miles an hour. That's the first phase. Second phase, the wind, as this goes through. Now, this is important. There's your eye. It is collapsing. The eye wall is collapsing, and the winds, in a sense, the energy is going to be absorbed by the rest of the storm. So the good news out of that is there will probably be less likely for the eye itself, or what's left of the eye, to really have a significant eye wall that we're going to have to worry too much about widespread extreme winds. We had it in Naples. They had an extreme wind warning where they had the 142, but that's when it was moving onshore. This is still 7 hours away from Central Polk and at least 3 or 4 hours away from our areas of Hardy and Highlands in terms of the center itself. It's moving 14 miles an hour. So when we look at the area here, it isn't just central and southern Florida that's being impacted because it is such a big storm. I mean, just look at Jacksonville. I mean, right now we've got video where it's showing there's your pier. I mean, and that's nowhere near. This is a storm that's on the complete other side of the state in another body of water, and it's still doing that. And obviously, if you get closer to the Gulf side, over toward Fort Myers, that's where the winds continue to pick up. We've got a lot of Facebook Lives. A lot of folks continue to show what's happening in these areas. But the end result is this will weaken. It has strengthened as much as it's going to do so. So it continues to move north. The eye wall continues to collapse, and the winds and the energy kind of expand outward a little bit. So what does that mean to us? No changes. Originally, if you think about it, we were saying, okay, we're looking at 75 to 90 as this comes in, which is what's happening right now, by the way, in the southern counties. It's going to get worse. But in terms of the eye wall itself, it's moving north now. And I mean, it might jog a little bit left, a little bit right. It's always possible. But as I said, because it's picked up its forward speed, I don't think that's going to happen. So all you pretty much have to do is draw. In fact, we're going to get a new update in about 45 seconds, I think, if it's still moving north. And that's always an important thing to watch. But you can draw a line straight up to the north. That takes you into central Polk County. So it's in. You guys pot up Shay's mic.
Still moving north at 14 miles per hour and max sustained wind still at 110.
There you go. So it's a Category 2 hurricane. It's moving straight north, and it's picked up its forward speed. So you look around Fort Myers. I mean, there's the eye wall, and we've got video live from Fort Myers, and that is a Facebook Live where those winds right there, I would guesstimate about 80 or 90. And the water is something I'm still concerned about in our area. The wind, believe it or not, and let's not minimize the wind at all. But we talk about an 85 to a 95 mile an hour wind field. For us, that's a Category 1/minimal 2 hurricane. It's going to do damage. It's going to knock down trees. It's going to take out power. You're going to have roof damage. All of the things that we had with Francis and Jean back in 2004. In fact, if you were around back then, I think it's going to be a very similar impact the way this is going to end up playing out for that part of it. Now, Port Charlotte, I know we also are just beginning to get some of that water, although it's still south of Port Charlotte, so I'm guessing, yeah, there's Mike Paluska, and, they're beginning to pick up some gusty winds. In fact, he called me a couple of minutes ago. He's like, Dennis, am I in the right spot? I go, yeah, oh yeah, just wait a half hour. You'll be in the right spot. So out there live, things have been deteriorating pretty quickly out there over the last couple of minutes, yes?
Yeah, Dennis, I haven't had to duck and go into full-on crouch mode at all today, except for right in this moment, right now. It is coming in these gusts. We thought that it was just, we thought that it was just, one of those gusts coming in, but now we notice this is more sustained. This is more 60 mile per hour sustained, and then heavier wind gusts. I haven't been able to look at the readings on my phone to try to figure out exactly what type of sustained winds we're in here in Port Charlotte, but I can send you our GPS location. You can pull that up for us. We have not seen anyone out. It has just steadily picked up, and as you can tell, the trees are whipping over there. Power lines are whipping. We have lost power. We have no electricity, and it is getting steady.
Okay, and Mike live, as we said, in Fort Myers, but because the center of this storm now looks like it's going pretty close to Polk County, let's head over to the EOC in Polk County for an update.
Our 20 shelters open, about 7,300 folks in the general population, special needs about 1,000, total sheltered available of 65,000 numbers, but more than 8,400 in there. So we've got, as you can see, quite a surplus of shelter spaces if people need them, and it's almost getting too late to go, but there is still some opportunity out there for them to get there. We do have pet shelters open also as well, about 1,000 people in there and about 600 pets. So we are having places to go with the people with pets. There are reports of downed trees throughout the county. Get some pictures in. Nothing of any kind of a specific nature or any kind of a damaging nature. No injuries or damages reported from that, but again, that's from the winds coming through. So we'll continue to stay on top of that, and if we get any reports of injuries or any other kind of damages, we'll let you know. And no reported flooding yet in the county. We do have some power outages. The TECO, which is more of our western part of our county, is indicating it's about 2,200 folks have lost power. Duke, which is in the eastern part of our county, about 1,200 folks have notified they're out of power. Lakeland Electric, which services Lakeland and its general area, has about 1,300. Now, there were some other outages early in the day from Lakeland Electric, but those have been resolved. So now the number's down to about 1,300 and working those. And as you said earlier, no injuries or damages, serious damages really reported from anything that we've had so far. We did note earlier in some press releases that there were some wastewater facilities experiencing issues, and Kevin can give you the full list of those when we're finished here. But they are working on those right now, our utilities folks. And really that kind of gives an up-to-date where we are. We have been receiving briefings from the state through the National Hurricane Center and getting information from across the state of what's going on. So the damages and the winds and the storm continues to creep up the coast. Certainly expected here later on this evening, early tomorrow morning. It looks as though the storm has started to diminish a little bit, which is good news for us. But again, we're going to keep that vigilant eye and stay tuned to what's happening throughout the rest of the night and early morning, just in case we need to help our folks in response some way. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have.
How much wastewater has spilled?
I don't have a figure on that. We can get that for you, though.
And what exactly are you doing to clean that up, make sure it doesn't get into the groundwater and streams and things like that?
And again, I'm not sure what the utilities' effort is right now, if they can even go out in the conditions that there are, but we will search that answer for you and get it to you. Yes, ma'am.
Once again, total without power right now?
Total without power looks like about 4,500, approximately. My math is fast enough to do that.
Typically, what do you tell them about expectations getting that high?
It really depends upon the nature of the storm and if those agencies are able to get their crews out to work in it in the conditions that are out there. So they may be able to get out there before it really gets too bad. Again, depends where it is. If it's remote, they may not be able to get to it until later.
How much extra space did you say there is in the shelters?
I'm sorry?
How much extra space in the shelters did you say there is?
Looks like there's about 65,000 available spaces. So there's only, I think the last number I heard is about 15%. It may be a little bit more than that as far as capacity right now. Now our special needs shelters are running at about 70%, but that's our general population shelters. And to answer your question, sir, I just got a word that there has been no spillage. No, just that the power is bad at those particular stations. It may go at some time, but right now there's none.
Even with the hurricane possibly weakening, do you still want people to stay off Polk County roads?
Absolutely. There's going to be strong storms and strong bands coming through. The hurricane may be weakening, and we may wind up getting continual winds of a low hurricane nature, 75, 85, something like that, still significant winds. But those bands coming through will have gusts that are up to, Category 3 level gusts, plus rain, driving rain, and lots of rain. So the streets are just not going to be real safe to be driving, especially at night. And if we start losing more power, obviously that's going to compound the issue.
Some of the traffic lights are out?
I haven't heard traffic lights being out, no, but it certainly could happen as power goes down. Not traffic lights as well as street lights, so they could lose those as well. So
I guess just in general, from the county administration standpoint, are you guys a little relieved to see that the storm might be weakening? Or
no. I won't go that far. Certainly, it's a good sign, but again, we've seen this hurricane track from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. We have never wavered on the fact that it's going to impact us one way or the other. We've tried to keep our eye on the worst possible case, and so that's why we've got really, we think, a probably a lot more sheltering space than we needed to have, but just in case the storm did get bad, we wanted to make sure we had that capability. The same thing holds true with the rest of our planning across the board. Plan for the worst, and we can always shut things down if it goes by and nothing significant happens. We don't see that from all indications. Something's going to happen. How significant and how bad, how many people will be impacted, we don't know. That's obviously the wild card. But there will be impacts. There will be flooding. There will be wind damage to places. So we just need to make sure, hopefully, get that minimized, and then make sure when the winds stop blowing, we can get out there, get our damage assessment teams and our other folks out to assess and to find where the people are, where the damages are, and do what we can to assist them.
What's the impression you're getting? Are people evacuating from those areas, those vulnerable areas?
We're getting some. We really haven't had a chance to evaluate specific areas, mobile home parks, manufacturing areas, and things like that to get a real true census of where they're coming from and what they're doing. But again, we're hoping that they're doing it. But we just want to make sure we have the shelter space available to them so they can avail themselves of that. Any other questions? Thank you.
To the Polk County Emergency Operations Center there, giving you an update from an area that is expected to get some decent winds when this hurricane comes through. Starting to pick up across the Bay Area.
Yeah, our Paul Legrone has a woman from Lakeland on the phone right now. Paul?
Yeah, that's right, guys. Power is out, and look at this. The trees are down, this massive oak tree, and then this other oak tree here. The person who took these pictures on the phone with me right now, Melissa Cruz. Melissa, where were you when you took these pictures?
I was actually in my car. I am staying at a friend's house about a mile away, and I was actually in my car and took those pictures.
And this is in your neighborhood, right?
This is in my neighborhood, in my front yard.
Wow, and those are some massive oak trees, Melissa. And luckily, no one was around when these things toppled down.
No, the good Lord, no one was around, and it missed all the houses on our street.
Now, where that happened, though, did the power go out on that street because of this?
Yes, all the houses on the street are without power. It took down 3 large electric lines.
Wow. And so you're just about a mile away from that now, sort of hunkered down, and you still have power at your location about a mile away from where these pictures were taken?
Exactly. I do still have power, although we've had several flickers as the wind picks up, but luckily we still have power.
And are there any trees around the location where you are now? Any big trees?
There are just one in the backyard. It's a fairly young tree, so I think that we are safe there.
Okay, you're at a good location. Melissa Cruz, thank you so much, and please be safe. And you can just see the power of this wind, and we're not even in the thick of this yet. And trees are getting toppled over. So, and then you've got that on top of the power lines that are above ground in this particular area. Yeah, power's going to go out.
Yeah, and it is concerning, as Jameson had mentioned earlier, that when this storm hits us, head on, and the winds are going to be much worse, it's going to be in the middle of the night, and it's going to be very dark out, and we're not going to see a tree in the middle of the road.
Right.
So that's
until
why
you wake up in the morning, and
that's why you've got to stay inside.
Stay inside. Yeah, and there's a big curiosity factor because you're going to hear things outside. You're going to want to know what was that. But really, it's going to be when you wake up in the morning, the sun comes up, even though there's going to be some winds out there, even when the sun comes up tomorrow, and you're going to see some of the aftermath and some of the damage, you're going to be surprised.
Right,
you're going to see a lot of trees like that.
Right, and not to mention the live power lines that are so very dangerous,
Yeah, that's the next issue. You're going to see a lot of power lines down, too. A lot of folks here into the Bay Area, moving to Florida, have never been through this, and a lot of folks have never been through this, even though they've lived in Florida before.
Absolutely.
Power lines and trees are going to be down in a lot of places, so watch yourself out there.
Right. Well, before Hurricane Irma even hit, some teens in New Jersey went to work putting together hygiene kits to be sent to hurricane victims right here in Florida in the coming days. So sweet.
Reporter Adam Walzer joins us now with more about their volunteer efforts. Adam.
That's right, Jameson. Teenagers from Hamilton, New Jersey went through Hurricane Sandy almost 4 years ago. Because they appreciated help from all over the country, they decided to start efforts early to help hurricane victims here in Florida. And they're reaching out now on social media to try to encourage others to assist in their effort as well. The group of friends and supplies last week as they watched the storm approach. They spent today assembling care packages, which they'll be delivering to the American Red Cross to be shipped to the hardest hit hurricane victims in Florida next week to help them as they begin the recovery process. Now they're posting information on Facebook, YouTube, and other sites to try to get others involved in their effort. Michael's mom, who organized this, Lauren Oletta, shot this video of them at work a little while ago.
Hello, Florida. This is my son, Michael. Say hello.
Hello.
This is Anthony.
Hi.
This is Zach.
Hi.
And they would like to be known as the Hamilton heroes that are stuffing personal hygiene packages for the Floridians.
Kind of a long title there. Those 13-year-old boys hope to raise enough money and collect enough supplies to deliver 2,000 kits to the American Red Cross later this week. I have more information about their efforts posted on the Welser I-Team page. You can go there and check it out. Back to you guys.
Oh, what great boys. That's great. Thank you, Adam, for that story. So nice to see, because I know for a lot of folks, including myself, I evacuated pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And especially if you're going to a shelter, you have probably the clothes on your back, and that's about it.
A lot of times, yeah, and you realize, oh, I forgot to pack something when you get there.
So
yeah,
thank
those
you
are
to
great.
those boys in New Jersey. Very sweet. Well, just in the last half hour, Pasco County asking people to stay inside, implementing a curfew that goes into place at 7 p.m.
ABC Action News reporter Lauren Rosella is in Pasco County at the Emergency Operations Center. Lauren, what's the biggest concern out?
The biggest concern, guys, is the winds that you can really see are picking up right now. And look, you can even see all of that water on the lens of the camera. That is because the rain is literally going sideways out here. We've been feeling some really strong gusts out here. So we're here at the Emergency Operations Center where the workers have been, just working tirelessly to, vet out this storm. They're all staying actually over here in the jail overnight. So they've got about a couple hundred cots set up out there. Now, the biggest thing they're saying now, all that hard work inside, when 7 p.m. comes, they want you off the road. And they say, if you want to pop out for a second, it might be okay. But listen to what they say the biggest concern is.
What we don't want you to do is get in your car and drive around the neighborhood. That could be a dangerous thing because you may not get home before that next squall, that next line of the wind hits.
Okay, guys, back out here live. So what I asked, okay, so if you break this order and you do go in your car, what happens? Well, they say it's a misdemeanor, but again, it's not really a question whether or not it's a misdemeanor. It's a question of your own safety. So as these winds come and start to pick up, we don't know when these heavy gusts are really going to start to blow in here into this area. We're feeling it intermittently. You want to make sure you are sheltering in place, that you stay in one place. Don't get in your car and drive around and try and kind of see what's out in the neighborhood. For now, reporting live in Pasco County, Lauren Rosella, ABC Action News.
Good advice. Thank you, Lauren. Well, shelters are full of people and pets, but actually one shelter in Hillsborough County became an impromptu pet shelter just because of the need.
Yeah, ABC Action News reporter Rodney Dunnigan is in Plant City at one shelter to tell us what happened.
For the past few hours, we've been telling you about the great work being done by the staff here at Turkey Creek Middle School to help so many people and so many families. More than 300 people seeking shelter here. So they are not forgetting those four-legged friends, and of course many of those families thankful that their pets are being allowed inside also.
It is an extension family, and they didn't want to leave them behind. So it's a necessary service, and it's an honor to be able to do that for all of our families.
Families here thankful their pets allowed too. So far, the shelter here at Turkey Creek Middle housing 25 dogs and 6 cats. This wasn't initially a pet shelter, but the need was so great they opened it up. No doubt a sigh of relief for many of these families, looking for a piece of normalcy as they brace for what's to come.
We went to actually 5 other shelters before this that were full until we got to this one, and we were afraid we couldn't get our dog in and kind of panicked a little bit, but they said, yeah, we could come in, so I just not knowing where you're going to go and stuff like that.
For now, this locker room will remain home for these animals as everyone here simply hopes for the best and that the storm rolls through without any serious damage. Back to you.
All right, Rodney, thank you. And just outside in Tampa, wind is starting to pick up.
ABC Action News reporter Chris Welch is near Waters in Dale Mabry with the latest conditions there. Chris?
Well, we're here in North Tampa.
Take a look around. I want to set the scene here. Really, for the last couple of hours, maybe within the last hour, it's really started to pick up. You started to see those winds blow just a little bit harder. The rains come down a little bit harder. Take a look. You can see some of these palms blowing as those gusts come and go. If you look down, you can see puddles. You can see the wind has sort of really given you a little bit of a visual cue of what some of those gusts can do. Let me sort of show you where we are in reference to the city of Tampa. Behind me is West Waters Avenue. We've seen cars coming and going. Of course, emergency officials telling everyone stay inside at this point if you don't have to be out there. But I have to tell you, we are seeking shelter at a La Quinta Inn at a hotel here in North Tampa. So we met people today who are coming here from their homes. They're not necessarily in those mandatory evacuation zones, but they live nearby. They say maybe they've seen lakes that are near their houses. They don't want to take chances. They have trees in their yard that are swaying. They don't want to risk it, so they have sought shelter here. That's exactly what we're going to do tonight as we ride out the storm. Chris Welch, ABC Action News.
Chris, thank you. Tampa braces for Hurricane Irma, and obviously many residents worried what this storm will do.
Is in Tampa with more on that.
It started slowly, but continues to intensify.
Kind of scary. I mean, this is the first.
Marceli Medina has never been through a hurricane. As palm fronds begin to sway in the parking lot of her hotel, she's starting to worry.
Trying to keep away, and I got stuck here in Tampa.
Medina packed up and came to Tampa from Lakeland. The storm shifted, and now, like so many others, she's stuck here to ride it out.
That's what it's about, unity in numbers.
For 90 years avoided this day, but I think our day has come.
Tampa's mayor is making it clear residents need to be ready. And part of the reason the curfew has been enacted, not just for the winds, but because on the backside, he said he's expecting mass power outages.
I don't really understand what to do. I was told that we needed water. We went to the store. There was no water.
This woman made the decision not to hop on a cruise to head to Cuba earlier this week. Unfortunately for her, she couldn't get back home before the storm hit.
I have had 6 plane cancellations.
But the good news, at least in this location, someone brought their therapy dog. And so far, he's doing his job. People here are staying calm. In Tampa, Matthew Smith, ABC Action News.
Meantime, Duke Energy is reporting a total of 45,000 customers across the state of Florida dealing with power loss just at this hour. But the storm had most populated service area in Pinellas County.
ABC Action News Taking Action reporter Jackie Calloway was able to get Duke on the line, and she joins us now. Jackie?
Yeah, we've got some new numbers in for you. We understand that a total of 14,000 TECO customers in the Bay Area without power, 13,000 Duke Energy customers, a total of 2.7 million Floridians without power. Anna Gibbs is with Duke Energy. Anna, thank you for joining us. Does that sound about accurate to you? 13,000 Duke Energy customers without power in Tampa Bay?
Well, so we have probably at this point a little bit more than that. For example, in Pinellas County, we have about 17,000 customers. And just based on your station's coverage area, I would say that we're, as every moment goes by, we're getting higher and higher. And of course, as we go throughout this evening, our prediction is that we'll have about 1 million out by the time the storm's over. And that's throughout the state, of course.
So many people out there asking, how long will it be out? How long will it be out? A lot of people thinking it's going to be a week. You and I were talking yesterday, and you said not necessarily. What can people expect?
That is absolutely correct. So we are asking that people be prepared for power to be out for a week. But, of course, we are definitely hoping to restore sooner than that. And that we didn't talk about yesterday is once the storm passes, one of the first things you're going to see are basically pickup trucks that are going to be coming through your neighborhoods. And we don't want people to panic and think the pickup trucks are coming through and leaving you behind. The pickup trucks are assessing the damage, and they're calling back to our dispatch and letting them know what kind of materials they need to fix the damage. So that's what you're probably going to see first before you see the big, those big bucket trucks rolling in. So just to get an idea of what you're going to see tomorrow.
You guys have mobilized 8,000 workers to come in after the dangerous portion of the winds and rain subside. Won't there in many cases be people who will be able to get power back much sooner than a week?
Absolutely. So we are hoping that we can definitely get power back on sooner than a week. And so it really has to do with, it depends what kind of damage or what kind of problem there is that's causing the power that's out. For example, if it's a fuse, we can get that back on pretty quickly. However, if it is something like a power pole that has to be replaced, that takes several hours. And of course, it's important to remember that we do have to give priority, of course, to hospitals, emergency responders such as 911, call centers or law enforcement officers. So we definitely have a priority list that we have to go through just to make sure that those essential services can continue to run, and we have to get power back to them.
One thing I haven't heard is what's the breaking point? So what kind of winds do we have to be seeing for the power lines to start snapping? More of the lines going down than the poles snapping in half. Is there kind of like a limit to how much wind shear they can take?
Well, I think I can put it in a better perspective this way. So it's really dependent because you can just imagine it's basically what's flying into our line. So it could be often a tree branch that flies into our line. It could be debris. So it's whatever wind it takes to pick whatever that object is. So that's a little bit more difficult to predict. But what I can share with you is that once we get to about 30 mile per hour winds, our own bucket trucks can't really respond for safety reasons. Our bucket trucks, those buckets that you see going up in the air, they reach anywhere from 40 to 50 feet, and then our transmission buckets actually reach all the way above 100 feet. So the weather is limiting in a lot of ways, even for our response. So it just depends the situation.
I take it they will go to the areas where the wind has left first. You'll be starting down south and then working your way up as the storm goes away.
Definitely. So we do, like we just talked about, we definitely have to wait for the winds to clear. And then another thing to consider is those flooded areas and, of course, all the debris. So it's just a bunch of factors that you have to take into consideration and how we respond, and things that have to, whether it's the water receding, the clear debris to come through, or the debris clearing to come through, and then and for our trucks to be able to roll in that power restoration. But we are definitely prepared. As you mentioned, 8,000 crews. They're standing by, ready to restore as soon as it's safe to do so.
Anna, my last question for you is, where can people go to find out how much longer it'll take to get the power back after the storm blows over? They've been at home, they've been without for a day or two, and they want to know, when will I get it back? Where can they go?
So we suggest DukeEnergy.com. Again, that's Duke-Energy.com. That's going to absolutely give you the best information because it's an entire web page that's dedicated to Irma. Okay. And then additionally, we do ask if you are out, please let us know. We definitely want to let you know, notify us that you're out through the website.
Anna, thank you so much for your time. Have a good rest of your night. Again, she's talking about Duke-Energy.com with information for their customers. Wendy?
Some good information. Thank you, Jackie. We have some pretty wild video coming down on our feeds. Take a look. This is a transformer in Naples blowing in the middle of the storm.
Yeah, you see there on the right side of your screen there, that blue explosion there. That's going to be happening. There you go, another one. That's going to be happening a lot once this storm. Once we're really in the thick of this storm. That's going to happen when the power starts going out. You're going to hear those kind of popping in your neighborhood or out in the road. That is something that is very, very typical when you get these high winds, and it's just something else.
It could be really startling, I imagine, too, because you don't know where it's coming from. And it happened, I remember, during Jake Peterson's live shot when he was in, I think he was in Sarasota. Yeah. And you could hear this pop, 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 and it almost sounds like it's a cross between like a gun and a little bit of lightning, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah. As a reporter standing out in Charlie and Francis and Jean years ago, you're standing out there and you're just hearing the wind and the rain whipping around, and then all of a sudden you start hearing that popping going on behind you, right? And you jump.
I'm sure, yeah.
Because you have no idea what it is.
I mean, you're already, you're tense, you're tense, and you're already stressed out because of the storm, and then you got that going on.
All right. Well, we want to get out to Riverview now.
Yeah, right. Our Adam Weiner is there. He's been there all shelter. Adam, has the place reached capacity yet where you are?
Yeah, well, they did reach a little while ago, but they did tell us they were going to not turn anybody away if they were going to show up. But they had over 300 animals here, over 700. Actually, I think it was over 800 people they just announced recently here at Barrington Middle School. It's in the Riverview community near Fishhawk. We are, of course, east of Tampa, and so we are starting to get what I would say are worsening conditions. For the most part, though, wind gusts, but certainly too tough to stand out in, and rain that is very consistent, certainly becoming more consistent out here, but for the most part, nothing torrential yet, I would say. But at Barrington Middle, they haven't had anybody really new show up recently, and they tell me they are going to be locking the doors any moment now. Branches coming down, so we are definitely seeing worsening conditions and trees starting to lean over just a bit. But Again, they are going to be locking the doors. They announced that to the entire 800 or so people who are going to be hiding out here, people from all over. I also talked to a lot of people who had fled low-lying areas, mobile homes, including one of the last people to show up at Barrington Middle came from Marco Island. That place we just saw had landfall from Hurricane Irma. She tells me that she boarded up her home for days all by herself, overnight, and then drove up here to the car broke down. Then she ended up in a home that she found out might not be safe either. And that is when she talked to a deputy who told her that this place would not turn her away. We talked to her just as she said her 6 pets here, that again, they wouldn't turn away. This is what she said to us.
But I don't know anything that's happened at home. I haven't had contact with my aunt in a while. She said the eye was about to hit and her front dead, and I kind of expected that. So she's on a condo down there, and I'm just praying, you know. I'm already prepared that I'll be gone.
You can just imagine the anxiety and the fear that she was dealing with. She made the right decision. She left what was a mobile home in Marco Island that was going to be potentially taken away by the storm surge we're hearing about, could be coming overnight. And I got to say, just in the past few minutes, we've definitely seen things worsen. And I know Dennis Phillips is going to tell me we haven't seen nothing yet. I get that. But on a normal thunderstormy day, this is a lot worse than that. And there's a lot of people who are taking shelter now that this was filled with people just a moment ago. This was people out and about. They were enjoying the fact that they could be outside. And now they are closing up the doors. You see some of the deputies doing that. I'm going to throw it back to you guys in the studio, but I do hope to have updates for you through the evening for the folks here.
All right. Stay safe out there. So, Dennis, it is going to get worse, isn't it?
I was going to ask him, Adam, you haven't seen nothing yet. He's right, because a lot worse is on the way. But, boy, in the last 24 hours, our emotions are all over the place with this storm. We've had the possibility it went from a 3 to a 4, and then there was the hint of gone even stronger. Well, this is the latest advisory, okay? While we have got a very rough night ahead of us, and I will tell you, this is not going to be around for another 7 or 8 hours. Let me be very clear. The worst of this weather is on the top side of this storm. So the reality is from now, where right now power is already out in Sarasota, power is already out in Highlands County. They are feeling some of the worst winds they're going to experience, and that is going to be moving north through the Bay Area. But if you look at the latest track and the latest conditions, and we've been saying this for about 5 or